Dean Payn, welcome to the Marketing for Business podcast.
Hey Scott, how are you?
Man, fantastic. Excited to have you on because, look, we've known each other probably for, I don't know, maybe 20 years, like on and off with business. And I've always enjoyed
Yeah,
talking to you. You're a smart business owner. You actually, one of the cool things I like about you is you're very giving. You put yourself out there to help other business owners. And I think that's a real trait that more people should have. So thanks for coming on.
pleasure, and great to be on your awesome show, mate. You get a lot of great guests on here, so a privilege to be invited.
Well, mate, I just love chatting. Like, I'm really curious. I love chatting to business owners. I love chatting to entrepreneurs. And look, when I look at, some of the stuff that you've done over the years, you're one of the first guys to go online with digital marketing, right? Like, I think you had, was it online marketing
I'm not that
results that you
old.
had? Yeah, but no, you had,
Online
I remember
results, yeah.
online results. And I remember talking to you a number of times about, SEO and all this type of stuff, even before like probably Facebook and all that was a thing, right? Like, you've really,
I think you got the
so,
wrong guy, man. I don't think I'm that old.
so where did you start your passion for marketing?
Yeah, I my passion for marketing comes from helping people, right? I
Yeah.
honestly, that's kind of my background has been in mentoring and coaching
Mm.
and really helping people succeed in life. And when the opportunity to get it into business came along, marketing is really about pulling the best out of people and
Mm.
what they've got to offer and making sure the world gets to know it, right? And I was
Yeah,
just
yeah,
passionate about making sure that
yeah.
people's genius wasn't hidden away, that it was kind of like it got out there and people got to see what people's expertise is and was and I wanted to help make sure that wasn't kind of sheltered away, but the best potential was drawn out of people's
So
opportunities for
good.
business. So yeah,
Yeah.
so I love people, love business, and marketing was a great place to start. But yeah, I just um, yeah, just
I think that
like
this
being
is
an evangelist, mate, for good things.
Yeah, and I think this is the cool conversation we're going to have today. And I think this is what a lot of business owners will lean in because you've been successful, but you've also had a few failures along the way, as far as a few things you've learned, right? And when I say failure, I probably should more classify it as a learning. I really believe you're learning more than and I think there's some real cool stuff. You've also created some software companies. You've been involved in a number of different industries, and we're also going to talk about what you're doing now, which I think is exciting too. But I think what I love is, I read your mission, and I'm just going to read it out because I think it really nails who you are and why people should listen. Because I think you're going to share a whole bunch of value today, especially when we start talking about AI and what's going on there. And I read on your LinkedIn, his mission is to help business owners break free from the grind, build profitable systems, and achieve the freedom to live the life on their own
Mm.
terms. How cool is that, right? That you actually get to do that now and you're living that. Do you think, because sometimes you look at words that you write and, that's great. But what about when you start living it? Because you're living that now, right?
Absolutely. Had the pleasure and privilege of if we jump to it as well, I'm now involved with Business Blueprint,
Yeah.
helping to spread that out through New Zealand. But I've been a student of Business Blueprint for 15 years, and learnt very strategically, very thankfully learnt the power of systemizing and
Mm.
then delegating, outsourcing, right? So, hey, it's one of those things that you don't always get right, and you sort of find yourself leaning back into picking things back up again.
Yeah.
But when you've actually sort of got that ingrained in you, you sort of you can smell that out and go, nah, I shouldn't be doing this stuff, and then you sort of divert back to what you should be doing. So over the course of time, 100%, as I say, learned had three or four businesses along the journey, and some have been more successful than others. But got to the point now with the two co-working spaces that I own. I spend sometimes I don't spend any time a week, but probably a couple of hours a week on average, talking to my team, having a bit of a management meeting, and I guess socializing and being part of the community.
Yeah.
That's not counted. That's not working, but but yeah. So I have freed myself up. So whether I'm here in the country or I'm away, I keep getting paid, which is quite a privilege.
Yeah, yeah, so good. Hey, so when you look, because you're a bit of a visionary in this co-working space too, let's talk about that for just a second. Because you started something, and I remember going to the crate in early days and thinking this is pretty cool. Like you're a bit of a, I guess, visionary when it comes to that working co-working space. And now you're opening up another one. Talk to me about that and how the
Yeah.
idea and how you got that going.
Actually, it relates back to when I started the online marketing company. And like any business, right, we should be making sure we start lean and kind of test the model out. So I uh, got going, and my offices were one of the bedrooms at home, and so we sort of squashed the kids into one room, and we took over the
Yeah, yeah,
other room and said, right, this is now Dad's office.
yeah.
Employed my first person, and they were all working from home. And as we started to get traction, of course, my customers wanted to come see me, and I was like, oh, this is too embarrassing. Back in the day when
Yeah,
working,
yeah, yeah.
particularly then, like working from
Yeah,
home
no,
was kind
no.
of like substandard. Now it's kind of like acceptable. And
So true.
so people, oh, just come over to your office. I'll drop by. Actually, I happen to be on your side of town today. Well,
Yeah,
flipping, if you
true.
know Auckland, right? It's so spread out. That was
Yeah,
quite
yeah.
inconvenient. So a mate of mine had an IT company, and I got talking to him. He had 3 desks spare, and that was great because I had 2, myself and another guy, and I was about to employ my third. So we
Brilliant.
took over the third desk and jumped in there. And that was good for about 6 months when the owner came back and said, actually, we're hiring someone. We need one of our desks back. I'm like, I can't split up my team. So I was back out on the street, as it were. So I thought, actually, this works quite well, just sharing an office. So
Mm.
I think back then it was like the trade and exchange or something. They was looking
Yeah,
for
yeah.
like people with spare offices or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
And but it just happened to be everybody's dingy, dark corner under some
Mm.
staircase, the damp office that nobody wanted to be in. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, this is not cool. So yeah, I think being the opportunist that I am, I thought, actually, why don't I do this? Why don't I create a professional version? And this was, from a New Zealand point of view, there
Yeah.
wasn't much happening here. So a bit of the OG of co-working in New Zealand.
Yeah.
And it was 120 square meters. We had enough of an office space for 12 desks. An office, we had a room for 6 of us for the online results team. We had a reception area and a couple of meeting rooms,
Oh, good.
and that was it. And I had hardly any money, so
Yeah.
I was scratching my head, and I came up with the idea of making the desk out of crates, pallets.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so we whacked the desk together with pallets. The little money I did spend was some nice melamine tops,
Yeah.
and
I remember
but
seeing that.
it was real
Yeah.
funky actually.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's the bit of the old flipping Kiwi ingenuity stuff where
Yeah.
you don't have to spend a lot of money to get out there and actually test the market. And that's when you talk about marketing, like
Totally.
flip, that's where it's at, right? So anyway, we got that up and going. Um, Actually, the genius behind that is that I managed to pre-sell that whole office before I had a pallet or a desk or anything in there. I took people
Wow.
into the blank canvas office, and I just got them to dream. I was kind of like sharing my vision. This is going to happen. This is going to be over here.
Yeah,
We have
yeah.
a coffee machine over here, and a couple of meeting rooms here, and then so I pre-sold that before I had to start paying rent.
There's a great
So
lesson there, right? There's a great lesson there,
mm,
and I learnt this from a number of key entrepreneurs over the years: is get an order form essentially before you go ahead and create something, right? So that's essentially what you were doing, right? Because so many
yeah,
business owners go and create the thing and then find out no one wants to buy it. Because if you'd pitched that and no one would go, oh yeah, that sounds great, but we're not interested. You go and spend all that money. Now, you spent a bit of money. You were wasted it, right? Like you went
that's
out there
right.
and pitched your idea, got people enrolled, had an order form, boom, you sign people up, and you're away. And that's
Yeah,
a massive takeaway for people. So many people like me, they've created this product, and they love it, but the marketplace doesn't.
yeah. It's the old MVP, right? Minimum
Yeah,
viable product. Make
yeah,
sure you build the scooter before you build the motorbike, and see if
yeah.
people are keen on traveling on 2 wheels.
Yeah,
Let's
exactly.
test it first.
Another key point that you brought up there, though, I think it's really, really important, is to be resourceful, right? Like, when you're in business, like, doesn't matter what time of business you're in, be resourceful. Challenge yourself to be resourceful. I started the podcast, first 80 episodes were shot on my iPhone, and now
Yeah,
we have a setup
yeah,
and all that's great, but not at the start. And you were the same, right? You just were
yeah.
resourceful. You didn't need desks. You found crates, and then
And
you
Kiwis
managed to
love
twist
that.
that. Yeah, and you managed to twist it
Yeah.
into something too, which I thought that's really cool.
About 8 to 10 years ago, I actually had this marketing guy turn up and challenged me about the crate and the brand and everything, and wanted me to change the name.
Oh,
And
really?
and I kind of got a bit caught up in it, for a bit.
Yeah, yeah,
And then I started asking my customers, and I'm like, no flipping way, mate. Like
yeah,
that's the
yeah, yeah,
story. That's who
yeah,
you
yeah,
are. That's kind of why we're
yeah,
here. And it said,
yeah.
oh, Kiwi number 8 wire. People
Totally.
buy into and support and back, in
Yeah,
business with become customers of those that they realize have been resourceful, are
yeah,
down to earth. Yeah,
yeah,
that's why I love you, mate. You're down to
yeah,
earth. Just you're really good at what you do, but you're so approachable and you can
yeah.
connect with, and you relate to people and their pain and their victories.
Mm,
And that's, I think, good Kiwi business owners are like that, I reckon.
yeah. Did you when you started that, like, what were some of the challenges that you were facing? Because there's a lot of balls in the air when you're looking at that. Like obviously dealing with builders, resource consents, contracts, agreements. Like you obviously, probably selling it was probably the easiest part, right? As far as
Yeah.
enrolling people. Did you find yourself really having to develop another skill set?
Man, I think on the scale we were starting, it wasn't, it was 12 desks, right?
Yep.
That's multiplied now. We have 140 desks in our Albany location and
Yeah.
80 desks in Hamilton. But back in the day, I think ignorance is a darn good thing,
Yeah.
like
Same.
just get out there and do it and then apologize later,
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
so I don't know. I just went ahead and did it all I didn't know anything about leases and having to put a bond up or anything like
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
I didn't ask the landlord had to put a bond up, and he didn't ask me. So we just got on with it, and
Brilliant.
and so as we've gone bigger, it gets harder because you sort of you have to be a little bit more professional. But it's
Yeah.
kind of nice to be a bit of a novice and just give it a crack and have a go,
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of where I've managed to pull things off. I'm just
Yeah.
keen to give things a go, and if it works, keep going. If they don't, change.
I think one of the things you've done well here though is listening to your customers, right? Come along and some consultant guru tells you something, but then go and listen to your customers, and your customers saying, "Hey, you got something cool here. Keep
Yeah,
going." Because I think it's
yeah.
very easy to change based off what someone else tells you. But I'm a massive believer in the market. Let the market tell you. And if the market's saying they like it, you keep going, right?
That's right. Yeah, it's like you start something and you never really know if it's going to work, but you keep putting your bait out there, and then one
Yeah,
comes along,
yeah,
and then two, and I say if there's one, there's two, if there's two, there's four, if there's four, there's eight. But
yeah,
you're following that thread of gold, and if you sort
totally.
of you and but I remember I joined Business Blueprint, had this online market. I just started my online
Mm,
marketing company, and it was a year down the track, and I was sitting, keen student on the front row of some seminar they were running, and the speaker said, "Oh, it's a year later. Put your hand up if your business is completely different today than it was what you thought it would be a year ago." And I'm
yeah,
like at the front of the room, thinking, "I don't be the weird guy, the idiot at the front that his business didn't work out the way that he thought it would." So I
yeah,
sort of sleepily put my hand up, and then he's like, "Congratulations." He goes, "You've obviously listened to your client and followed the market." And I'm like, "Oh, cool. I did something well,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
because I went into marketing thinking I was just going to be the coach and tell everybody how to do it.
yeah,
Started trying to sell it, and I'm like, "Well, can't you just do it for us?" And I'm like, "Okay, that's not really what I intended to, but actually that's what they wanted.
yeah,
I want to give you the problem. Can you take over it? Can you make it
yeah,
happen?" And so
totally.
so we shifted and we adapted and we did well.
Yeah, yeah, and that's such a good lesson, right? Like just evolving it as your customers, that you want, they just want you to help them solve that problem that they have, right?
Yeah.
Especially with marketing, because marketing people, like their brains are wired differently. And there's a whole bunch of stuff that I can't do, but there's a whole bunch of things I can do in marketing just because of the way my brain goes and
Yeah.
how I am, and you'd be the same. Let's just talk about a second for when you scaled this business, because like, if I look at that picture behind you, that's the crate in Hamilton, right?
Hamilton.
I don't see
Yeah.
many crates behind you at the moment. I'm sure there's some there, but
You
like
see
yeah, oh,
that?
true, true. So you've obviously scaled it and evolved it. How have you, like, what's been the things that have got you excited about that from a business perspective? You've grown it. You're not working as much in the business. You've obviously got a team. Talk to me about the leadership and how you've had to grow that.
Mm. Well, I think the demand for growth has come from the desire to build community.
Nice.
Um, I think any successful co-working space is all the glue is the community. If you haven't got
Yeah.
community, you're just selling a desk and a chair in the
Yeah.
meeting room, and no
Yeah.
one gets excited about that. But if you can kind of get that people kind of collaboration,
Yeah.
excitement, a great environment that's positive and uplifting when people come into the space. So that's been the drive to grow bigger as the community just got bigger, and
Perfect.
it gets to the point where it goes beyond myself and then goes beyond, like, I've got a great leader, but now it's kind of actually driven from the community itself, which is
Yeah.
the real cool part. So, if I'm honest with you, we had that 120 square meter space in the back of Albany in Auckland and
Yeah.
North Shore, and then the gym under us went under. So we were full. We kind of got to the point where we were pretty full, if not, I can't remember now, all those years ago, but we were definitely at capacity. And then the gym went under. They said, "Oh, would you take over our space?" And I just said, "Oh, well, I'll do it on a monthly basis. I'll give it a go, So
Yeah.
they cleared out their gym gear and I whacked a few more desks out of crates together, and put them down there. And then we filled that. So I
Wow.
was like, okay, that's cool. And then, coming back to marketing and I was really involved with online marketing, digital
Mm,
marketing. We got the opportunity to bring the crate into the current venue now, which is on Constellation Drive. It's probably one of the
yep.
busiest
Totally.
um, roads in North Shore. And
Mm,
of course, the rent, we went from 240 squares to, it was, we're now over 1,000, but it was about 700 then. But we're sort of going from 240 to 700.
yeah.
And of
Wow.
course, the lease was just like 3, 4 times as
Yeah.
much, and the space, and then, getting all the costs of furniture and setup and all those things. But one thing anyway, we took the plunge, and it was put on your big boy pants at that point. From
Yeah.
my level, from where I was at, it's like, this is a
Yep.
big risk. I'm putting a lot on
Yeah.
the line. But what I underestimated was being on this right out road front, right? Whereas before we were tucked away in a back street of Albany, now
True.
we're on the road frontage
Yep.
and got some big signage up. And now, you know, to this day, drive-bys, is still
Brilliant.
a big
Yeah.
lead generator for us. People have been
Yeah.
driving past. They might not come straight away, but they've been driving past for six
Yeah. They
months.
know
They
who
go,
you
oh, they're
are,
mean
right?
to call and call.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the value, yes, I'm paying a lot more rent, but actually the value in which that exposure has given us has been phenomenal. So that's
Yeah.
kind of been the drive. So when we did that for about 5 years, and we took on more space, renovated more to about the size we are now. Um, and then really it's just the reputation that's, even what drove us to Hamilton. Someone approached us and wanted us to go there and helped us fund into it because of our reputation, which
Brilliant.
was really, really cool. So yeah,
That's
so the
awesome.
growth has just kind of happened just by, loving what we do. I'm a real big person on service. So
Yep.
like, I call ourselves the boutique hotel of co-working.
Nice.
So we, there's rolled towels in the
Yeah.
bathroom. When you walk in, every morning we know you by name. We know your favorite coffee.
Brilliant.
So those sort of touches are
Yeah.
really, really important to us. And so we just turn on the service, I don't have to have the best fit out in town because I've got the best service and the best
Yeah.
community in town.
How good.
Yeah.
That is a lesson in itself, and I think you made something really a really good comment about community. I learned from a guy, I don't know if you know him, a guy called Dale Beaumont. He said to me once, he said, Scott, people come for your content, but they stay for your community, and I've never forgotten it. And I look at successful businesses; they always have a good community around them, and it's something I've looked to foster inside my business with our clients and having a really good community. What are some of the ways that you develop that community? Obviously, you've got service and things you're doing there, but what are some of the ways you've developed a community? Because I believe every business can create a community with what they're
Yeah.
doing. They just need to think a little bit differently about it. So how did you do that?
There's a famous quote. I don't know if it's cliche, but it says people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
No, true. It's a
Or they don't want
truth.
to know how much you know
Yeah,
until they know how much you care. And so I think you've got to actually just be genuinely care for people,
yeah,
right? And
totally.
it's amazing. You could be, a client of, let's say, for an example, you're a plumber and you're out there and you're delivering a service, but while you're there, you picked up that, you know, just one little personal touch about, maybe they were taking their son to a rugby game,
Yeah,
or maybe there was a bit of sickness in the house, or someone had an accident or something, and if just a little text the following week to say, hey, I'm just thinking about you, like,
yeah.
how's that
Nice.
going? Like that personal touch costs you nothing, but suddenly it goes from being um, you're just someone out there to actually you're someone that's real, that's important. I've got another mate
But
actually.
let's
It's a
talk about
great.
that for a minute.
Oh
Let's talk
yeah,
about that
yeah,
for a minute because that capture, anyone can do that, right?
yep.
But will you give it a go? And that's what I want to challenge my listeners because, that is a great idea and anyone could do it and it's not going to cost you any money. It shows that you've been interested in the person and you've listened. You haven't listened to reply, you've listened to understand. And by going, hey, by the way, how is that person? That what a great little thing that you can do that doesn't cost you any money. The challenge
Yeah.
is who's going to do it because if you do it, you start to get this snowball effect of how people start to treat you. They start to treat you differently.
Mm,
That's what you would have found, right? Through those little things, people start to treat you differently. They start to really get to know you. They start to really become interested in who you are and what you are and what the things that are around you and what matter to you. It's very cool. I
Yeah,
just wanted to make sure people capture that moment because, you can hear it and not take any action on it. I
yeah,
want people to listen to that and go, you know what, that's a freaking good idea. You know what, I
yeah.
was talking to such and such yesterday. I'm personally going to do this. I was talking to a guy yesterday, told me about what his kid was up to. I'm going to text him this morning. I just wrote it down now. I'm going to text him and ask him how that event was.
Yeah.
Because that's
And
going to
who
cost me
does
nothing.
that?
No
Who
one does
does
it,
it
right?
as
No
well?
one
Because
does
they're
it.
all so busy. Like, I don't even talk to our flipping neighbors. So
Mm,
if you're suddenly now engaging and paying someone for a service and they just have that little bit of extra interest in you, that you're not
mm,
just a number, but you're somebody, that changes the game.
totally.
And then people, and that's the start of trust.
Yeah.
What is sales? What is sales? Trust.
Yeah.
People will buy from people they trust. So,
Yeah.
so yeah. So for us, it's it could be running events, whether it's drinks after work or calling in or those kind of things. I think is important, and even again, I think it calls back into that whole customer journey, right? It's just making sure that along the way, you're making sure that you're making some touch points that just show that you care,
Mm,
or show that you're willing to go the extra mile and be generous. Being generous is another one, like
yep.
you talked about. That is something that we are. We are very generous, and I don't. I'd rather lose a buck than have an argument.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like
So is
stuff
that
it.
generous with your time, generous with what you're doing as far as providing coffees or whatever? Like what's an example of
Exactly. I think when in business we can be so structured in our policies
mm,
and when you got to have those, you kind of got to have those. But
yeah.
people love it when you're willing to not, you know, we hate it when we ring up like our telco and go, oh, you know, can we do this? And they go, no, it's outside the rules. You can't do that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
what about if someone goes, hey, look, it's not unfortunate. Well, fortunately for you, it's the rules are this.
Yeah.
However, let me go have a talk to the manager for you. And then they
Yeah.
come back and they go, look, just this one time. And you're like,
Yeah, yeah.
look, but
Hang on.
yeah,
Yeah. Who am I talking
yeah.
about later on today,
Yeah.
In a good
So,
way.
yeah. So I just think that, again, whether it's, buying people a coffee, like, don't count like $5, got to get bigger than that.
Yeah.
Um, and, and even, when people are going through growth mode, like with the crate, with the co-working space, like, they're growing. So I'll support them when they're growing with, making the second desk or the third desk, cheap for them while they're still kind of getting themselves established. And people remember that, right? People just
Yeah.
remember and then talk about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, um, generous with your words.
Yep.
People,
Perfect.
I think community building. You talked
Mm,
about people. It's like people are attracted to hope and
yeah.
vision.
Yeah.
So if you turn around and just you talked about sort of like mentioning like things about people, right? I mean, I've been trained in this from some great speakers and different things I've been at, but it doesn't take much to go, oh, flip, mate, that's a really cool jumper you're wearing there today, Scott. That's pretty
Totally.
cool, mate. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Or like cool shoes or whatever. Or
Yeah.
hey, I saw you do something online the other day, mate.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That
Totally.
was legendary.
Yeah.
Just paying it forward with compliments, I
Yep.
think, is building vision and building confidence into people. And
Totally.
then they turn around and go, I want to stick with that guy, Dean,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
puts
Yeah.
confidence in me.
Yeah.
Um, and then I want to be known as that person anyway.
That's a massive thing when the takeaway is building confidence in other people. I think,
Mm,
as a dad, that's my goal. Well, my number one
yeah,
aim is to build confidence in my children, or my son, sorry, and just like, that I really take that serious, and I think I take that serious with my team. I'm building confidence in them, and it's those little things that you can do and say, really do stack value there, right? So it's a good thing to notice, and it's a good thing to be aware of it, right? Because there's so many things out there that are knocking people over and taking the confidence
yeah,
away from people, right?
yeah.
And you
Just
want to be the person that's building them up.
yeah. Who right, mate?
You mentioned a really interesting word, and like it's called trust, right? And I think that's probably one of the most under emphasized things in marketing. People buy from people they know, like, and trust. And I think firstly they've got to know you. So you've got to share a bit of your character, so they get to know you, and then you've got to build chemistry so they like you, and then you got to demonstrate credibility so they trust you. And I think, with what you're doing there is building trust via showing leadership,
Yeah,
and I think that's Also, the ability to back yourself shows trust into the marketplace too. Like if you'd just stayed where you were, might have shown that you don't believe in what you're doing. But you believe in
Yeah.
what you're doing. You believe you've got a great product, so you put some trust into yourself. And all of a sudden you're in Constellation Drive, which I know is a busy drive. It's a good part of Auckland, so pretty cool. And I know clients that have moved offices, moved buildings, gone more forefront of where the street traffic is, and business just goes up like that. And sometimes, look, one of the guys I've dealt with for years and had chats with over the years, his number one thing when he opens up an Indian restaurant is to open up from a 4 or 5 star hotel. He'll open up right across the road. He'll pay whatever the lease is, and then he'll get the hotel people, staff coming in and having dinner, lunch at the hotel. Key staff members coming in, and then what happens when the hotel fills up? Guess where they go for lunch and dinner?
That's right.
Right
Yeah.
across the road. And people, you wonder, oh, why are you so successful? And this is those little things that you're doing, right?
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, can I put a little example of
Yeah,
generosity?
totally.
And we're part of, in Hamilton, we've got a coffee, we've got the Crate Coffee. It's like
Yeah.
just a corner, it's a coffee bar that's open to the road. And had a great, lovely lady from MediaWorks. She used to walk up and down the street pretty much knocking on doors, and this is real cool, generosity. Came a couple of times and I was too busy. We're in setup mode. I'm like, oh, yeah. Someone said, "What's it? See you?" And I'd say hello. Like, I'm really busy at the moment. But anyway, she just kept coming back. And then I think the second or third time, she dropped me off some home baked Anzac cookies. Do
Boom.
you think I was going to say no to her?
No.
Like, she dropped them up. Hey, listen, I know you're busy, but I baked these over the weekend, and she wrapped
Yeah,
them
good.
up. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to be that guy, right? I'm like, come on,
No.
open up your diary. Let's make that appointment work.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so that's good. She got her appointment with me, and however, she was trying to sell me advertising on the back of a bus, and
Okay.
it was about $800, $1,000 a month to have whether it was one bus or two buses. And I said, well, where's it going? And she said, well, this goes out to Tarapa, or it's about a 20-30 minute drive in a loop. And I was like, actually, the people that I want to sell coffee to are within a 300-meter walk from my corner,
Yeah.
right? It's a busy street corner in Hamilton. So I said, hey, thanks very much. I didn't end up going with this lovely lady and a great service, but I just made little round little vouchers, $5 free coffees.
Brilliant.
And we just went round to start. I thought, rather than spending $1,000 on the back
Oh,
of a
yeah.
bus, why don't I just give away $1,000 worth of coffees to people
Totally.
within who are walking past my shop every day, because, they're going to drink my coffee, love the smile and the service they get, and get a little bit of a dopamine and caffeine hit from that experience, and go, oh, I'm missing that. I think I'll go back for more. And
Totally.
we've built it into a real thriving little cafe hub there,
Yeah.
because we're just being generous.
Totally. Listen to what Dean's saying there, because so many people, like, I don't know how many coffee shops could do this but don't do this, right? Like, seriously, people, when they buy coffee, they don't buy just from one coffee shop. It's like pizzas. You don't just shop at one pizza shop. You try everything, right? And coffee shops, like, they spend money on all these other things, but you should get people in and around who you are trying your product.
Yeah.
By get in front of people that can and want to buy your product that's in a walking distance is a no-brainer, right?
Yeah.
And I guess, that's a skilled art of a business owner understanding where his market is, right? And I think that's one of the things that I would hope for a lot of business owners. Where is your market? Like understanding that, hey, actually, if I think strategically for a minute, because here's the thing, I tell people all the time, you must design your marketing strategy to pick the tactics to produce the results you want. Because if you'd just gone to the tactic, you would have had someone sell you the back of the bus going all around an area that doesn't really matter, right? But if you think strategically, okay, well, where is my audience? Where are they right now? Actually, who has access to them right now? And you start being strategic around that. Well, actually, you have a conversation and you figure out they're 300, meters away. Oh, okay. Well, how
Yeah.
do I reach them? Well, what if we did this first? And what if we were give value in advance of them never giving us any money? Stephen Covey, fill the emotional bank account, give
Yeah.
reciprocity, and all of a sudden, people are coming in the door, and people will look around and go, "Oh, why is that cafe so busy?" you know. Oh, it's because of this, oh, because of that. They'll make up all these things, but actually it's because the owner thought, hey, where are my customers? How can I give
Yeah.
them something in advance for free to get them to try our product? And if they like it and they like our service, guess what? They'll come back.
Yeah. I
And I think
stole an idea. Oh, yeah, go.
no, I just think
Yeah.
sometimes people make it too confusing, right? But they go to the
Yeah.
tactic. They don't actually strategically think first, and I think that's the point I was trying to get across there as well. Is the strategic thinking can make you so much more money.
Yep, absolutely. You got to start with identifying who your target market is
Mm.
and find out where they live, where they're
Yeah,
hanging out,
yeah,
and then what's the best way to get their attention.
totally.
I stole an idea for that coffee shop as well. It was out of a cafe in Tauranga, and they had a name board out the front, and every day they put a name on the board. If your name was on the board, your coffee's free that day.
Brilliant.
Uh, so that's a good idea. So we did the same thing,
Oh,
and what we were hearing is that law firms, 3 or 4 buildings, floors up from the buildings opposite us, where someone was walking on their way to work, snapshotting the name board and putting it in the work chat to 200 people, going,
how
"Oh, if
good.
your name's Sarah today, get a free coffee," or
Brilliant.
broadcast. What does it cost you?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. I'm gonna take that
just
idea to the cafe next door. Like they need that.
yeah,
You know, if your
yeah,
name is
yeah.
such and such, your coffee is free today.
What does it cost you? But
Mate,
people are
people are
going to
going to
talk about
snap
it.
that. Like, people have to
Yeah,
stop at the lights. They'll be taking photos of that. Yeah, very cool. Great idea. Like, I love, that's what I love about marketing. Sometimes it's the simplest ideas that make all of the difference. Let's talk about systems for a second. Because obviously that's something you've learned over the years, and I think it's an era where businesses, as entrepreneurs, as business owners, sometimes it's a thing that's probably too hard for us to get our heads
yeah.
around. So how did you learn, and what did you take from going in and learning about systems and how to systemize some of the things inside your business?
Mm. Well, I learned that from Dale, from
Yeah,
Blueprint, Dale Beaumont, and he has this mantra that says that, will you ever have to do this again? If the answer is yes, create a system. Because often we have that whole, the mentality that gets a lot of people stuck is, um, it'll be quicker if I do it myself.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Or,
yeah.
I'll do a better job kind of thing. And that's, well, if you're having to do it all the time, then that's
Mm,
not good because you're not going to get around to everything. So you're not going to do a great job or you're going to miss stuff, right?
mm,
So if you have to do it again, take the extra 5 minutes and write a system.
yeah.
And the technology around AI now is you can literally be recording your screen and throwing that into AI, and it's generating word for word a nice systemized step by step,
Wow,
taking screenshots of your screen and all the rest of it is
how
so
good.
easy. So just having a really nice centralized system to store all those systems and getting your whole team on board. So
Yeah.
so we to
What
say where
software
I
do you
learned
use for
it,
that?
Loom is a
Yeah. Oh, brilliant.
fantastic
Yeah,
tool.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So recording your screen, and then it's literally got a tab where you can go create SOP. It snapshots your screen when as you're talking about it, and puts the link as to that part of the video to go back and watch. Like if your staff member's like, well, how do I do that part? Click on
So
it.
good.
So what kind of got me inspired from the get-go is, Dale was talking about that he would document how his staff were to go collect the mail, right? Which at the crate, we only do it about once a week now for our
Yeah.
clients. We don't need to, but it's so true that if they go during a peak time, they get a 20-minute job is going to turn into an hour by the time they fight the
Brilliant.
traffic there and back.
Yeah, yeah.
So every little thing is systemized. That there's the best way of doing something.
Mm,
And if you haven't systemized it and documented it, you can turn around. Let's take this into something a little bit more serious and say, hey, we're talking about our Facebook marketing.
yeah.
If you haven't actually systemized it and looked at the whole process, when it's not working, you sort of think, well, I don't know what's working. But if you turn around and got a system, you go, which part of the process is letting us down? And you can go
Yeah,
and fix
nice.
that one thing rather than going,
Yeah.
oh, Facebook marketing's not working for me, scrap it, move on
Yeah,
to
yeah.
something else. And that's where a lot of people kind of throw out the baby with the bathwater, as it were,
Yeah.
because they're not thinking strategically, like you said. They're not systemizing it to the point where they can work out, what they're doing and not doing. So over the years, I've just followed that through from how to collect the mail, how we clean the kitchen, what, you name it for the crate. And it's systemized to the point where I've got hundreds and hundreds of systems of how to do everything that you need to do at the crate. And that's why I'm not needed here.
Yeah.
And do you know what's coming? Is that I'm going to be able to plug AI into my storage system. It's got all my systems.
Yeah.
And so it's going to have a voice activation to it where they won't be, as if they were asking me, oh, by the way, can't remember, how do we do this again? It will talk back to them and tell them how Dean wants it done.
So
How
good.
brilliant is that?
Yeah. This is, yeah. And I think, but it starts with what you just said and what Dale taught you. If you have to do it again, then you need to create a system out of it, right? And so just basically recording is that's just something that you've sound like look at a checklist kind of aspect to it and just go through it.
Yep. And, sometimes flow charts, sometimes screenshots, sometimes just pulling out your video, your camera and taking a video of you doing something or how you want something done. And basically just documenting step by step, and, just having that recorded again is just a great start.
Yeah.
And that's the baseline. That's the foundation.
Yeah.
The magic in it is then you can get somebody else to do it,
To
right?
do it. Yeah.
Most business people are so stuck doing the grind,
Yeah.
working in their business, never getting to work on their business because they're too busy doing the doing. But you can't delegate successfully to somebody until there is a system to follow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I learned something really good. I don't know, it was a long time ago, but like when you're teaching someone, you do it, they watch, then they do it, you watch,
yeah,
and like I just remember that, and then they do it, and someone else watches it. And I just remember like, okay, well I'm gonna get it solid, and then someone else is gonna sit with me and watch me do it, and then I'm gonna go then watch they do it, and then I'm gonna watch them do it,
yeah,
and then they're going to teach someone else, because I think that's an important thing too. I find if I've taught someone else something, I learn more from that as well,
yeah.
right?
Yep.
Not just you're doing it stand alone. Very, very cool. It sounds too simple, but it probably is,
No,
right?
it's hard work.
Yeah. Hey, let's think about this AI thing, right? Because you mentioned it a couple of times, and now you've well, you're bringing business blueprint to New Zealand, right? Which has been, a really huge success in Australia, and now bringing it to New Zealand. Let's talk about that, and let's talk about what you're learning and what are you hoping to achieve and help when we're helping more business owners here in New Zealand.
Yeah. I think what's really in my heart is that most people go into business for freedom. They go into business
Mm,
to have some perks, but 90% of them just end up finding themselves a job,
yeah,
and they're stuck and tied to their own job, and they never quite get out of the rut. I think Kiwis is a bit of a generic thing, and multicultural Kiwis is what I'm talking about. Is we know what it is to get in the trenches and dig and
mm,
go hard and work hard,
yeah,
but sometimes we forget to come out for air,
yeah,
and life's too short to not enjoy the journey. And why bother going to all the effort of being in business? Because there is hard work and there is extra pressures and
yeah,
stresses and responsibilities that you carry as a business owner. Why would you take all that on over a nice cushy paycheck,
yeah,
with no perks and no
yeah,
freedom and no life?
yeah,
So, you know, I think most people go into business to have more time, more money to do what they love with the people they love. And that's what I want for more Kiwi entrepreneurs. We've got a beautiful country, got a beautiful world out there. Let's go explore it and let's have
yeah,
fun and yeah, just make sure I'm a hard worker. I work a lot, but I
yeah,
also have great adventures
yeah,
and great memories that I create along the way, and
yeah.
and I love it.
I think that's one of the joys of life, right? Like being able to work hard, but also book in your adventures and go and see things and do things with your family that, maybe you didn't ever get to do, but
Yeah,
because of,
exactly.
yeah. Do you think, though, do you think it's possible for any business to be successful?
Any business, I guess sometimes you might give something a really, really, really good crack and realize that
Mm,
it's not a good fit for you, maybe,
yeah,
or the timing's not right. So I
yeah.
don't think that any business can necessarily thrive at the time.
Mm.
Um, to answer your question, yeah,
But to put in like maybe if you start learning, and this is I guess the point I want to raise is like there's opportunities to really learn from people who, have set up systems inside a business, who have set up, they actually do have a blueprint for it, right? Because
mm,
you can actually shortcut the way you're doing stuff if you get in front of the right people and learn, and you're open to learning what works and
massive.
what hasn't worked. Right, because end of the day, the opportunity, like to stand on the shoulders of other people, And I think sometimes New Zealanders have been a wee bit scared of that. Like, oh, I don't want to, because even if I become more successful, people will have a go at me and all that sort of stuff, right? But I think there's a real opportunity to, like I go to the States, right? And I go to the States and everyone there wants to learn. Everyone there wants to know what the other person's doing and be better, right? And
Yeah.
sometimes you come back here and people they don't want to learn, or they don't, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I feel sometimes
No.
people aren't taking those opportunities to stand on the shoulders of other people.
Yeah. New Zealand's a small place, and unfortunately, that has a bit of a reflection that we can be small thinkers at times, and
Mm,
we bumble along with doing what we know, but the problem with that is that you don't know what you don't know,
yeah,
and when you get out and spend time with people, or go experience other cultures, or go visit, other people in business, like go globally and look at other people doing exactly the same thing as you, but glean and get ideas and be inspired by
yeah,
their growth and their bigness. It's just you come back to New Zealand and your thinking has expanded, right?
totally.
And so I think that's so important to, you know, invest in yourself, whether that's
Yeah,
taking yourself out there, or getting under some good training, some good programs that are skilled.
yeah,
When you talk about any business succeeding, what I will say is that, I think if you want to learn a skill like sales, for an example,
mm,
I think anyone can learn how to sell.
totally.
It's something that you can learn.
You got to
So
have a
just
mindset for it.
invest in yourself. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, you got to have that growth focused mindset, right? You've got to be, your mindset is the thing between here is probably the most important thing in business. I believe it's the ultimate personal development game. Like there's a lot of things happening in business, but if you can set your mindset on, you know, on the right path, and you can do some stuff, learn some stuff, you can be
Yeah.
successful.
And mine's what are we with we're the sum of the five people we spend the most time with, right? Like that
Mm,
whole concept really is absolutely true. And you know, I reckon, we talk about the economy in New Zealand, and it's having its struggles at the moment. Well, there's the economy that might be going on at that level, and there's also the economy that you create.
totally.
You create.
Mm,
If I turn up to a networking event and I say, "Oh, mate, how are your sales going?" "Oh, yeah, yeah, my sales not going very good either." And, "Oh, yeah, I heard
yeah.
this on the news," and da da da. And then next
Boom.
minute, those 20 people in that room are
Yeah.
all doom and gloom,
Totally.
and they're all expecting the worst.
Yeah.
Well, it's like riding a bike, right?
Yeah.
If you're training your
Yeah.
kid to ride a bike, like keep looking where you want to go, you'll
Yeah.
get there, right?
Totally.
And so, but I just choose not to hang out with people
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
are doom and gloom and creating an economy that I'm like, oh gosh, no, thank you
Yeah.
very much. I'm
Pre-
keen on,
yeah.
yeah, go for it.
Totally protect your inputs, right? That's one thing I
Yeah,
would say to business owners: protect who you're getting inputs from. Because I know, like we deal with a lot of businesses, and over the years, interesting meeting very successful entrepreneurs. They want you to go good, you know. And I think that's the most infectious part when you meet people that want you to go good. And look, coming from the corporate world, no one wanted you to go good, right? They wanted themselves to go good. Then you start
yeah,
meeting these entrepreneurs, and they actually want you to go good too, And I think that's when you're getting around business owners who are thinking that bigger game, they actually want you to win too. And I think
yeah,
that's a good point, and it's good to capture. If you're in an environment, I actually told a guy the other day this. I said, it sounds like you're in an environment where there's some other stuff going on, and you don't need to be part of that. You need to be big enough to say, "Hey guys, I'm checking out for a bit. I'm going to go and do
yeah,
some other stuff,"
yeah,
because it's holding him back, and you could tell just by the language he was using. So, like you've got to be wary of that. You've got to capture it as well. You've got to capture it and be aware to make those changes. Because if you don't, you continue in that spiral, and guess what? Your sales are going to be shit.
that's right. Yep.
Yeah. Let's talk about AI. You've got an event coming, a nationwide tour of New Zealand. You're going to be talking about AI. I talk to business owners, and some of them say, "Oh, I don't need to know about AI." I think they're wrong, and I've got my
Mm.
own thoughts on it. But what's the essence behind the program that you've got, and who should be turning up to that?
Yeah, cool. So, yep, we've got events coming up in Auckland, Wellington, and Christchurch, and it's called the New Rules of Business with the Power of AI. So we're going to be
Nice.
sharing over 45 different growth strategies. So there's going to be some very, very practical strategies on how to grow and increase your profits for your business. But right throughout, we have sort of 12 different segments of the day, and there will be AI tools dropped in right along the way. Real practical, non-expensive tools that you can bring into your small to medium-sized business. So we're looking for small to medium-sized business owners
Nice.
who are looking to, keep up to speed and leverage and start using AI now.
Yeah.
There's the old picture of people with their heads, buried in the sand. And I want to tell you right now, it is not the time to be ignoring AI, because
No.
they say the only people that will lose out, from AI are those who ignore it.
Yeah.
It's coming whether you like it or not, and you need to make sure that you understand it. And I've got this a 93-year-old member joined Blueprint last year, and she said, she's like, I want to do this AI thing, and she'd done nothing. So she said, look, over Christmas, would you just be the granny if they're going away to a batch with their family? I
Yeah.
said, I want you to be the laugh of everybody. How much grannies hanging out and talking to ChatGPT, and just
Yeah, good.
recipe for this, or what's in this photo, or how do I do this? She's totally got into it. So that's the biggest thing I say to people: play with it.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
Have a play with it.
Mm.
And now I rang her up the other day. She runs a very, very successful organization for the beauty industry in New Zealand. Been doing it for years and years. She's using AI for everything. She's a
Yeah,
legend.
good. Yeah, good.
So it really, really, really is a game changer. And there's a statistic for you. There's Moore's law basically has been going measured from 1965 to 2020, that compute power was doubling every 2 years. Not only was it doubling in its power, but of course the
Yeah.
size of the chips and everything was shrinking by half, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So you went from the original big computer rooms to a server rack to a desktop to a laptop to a phone to now a watch that has more power than what the big room had back in the 60s, right?
Yeah.
Every 2 years was a tried and true law. You know what it is today?
It's probably every half an hour.
Yeah, 3.4 months.
Wow.
3.4 months.
That's
6 months
crazy,
ago,
right?
it was every 6 months,
Yeah.
and now
Well,
yeah.
I noticed that when I was working at Bond and Bond. Now I'm just going to date myself right there. We started selling computers. One of the first companies to start selling computers in New Zealand, and I just started noticing every 6 months a new model would come out, and they got bigger and bigger and more, and it was
Cool.
really interesting to see it kind of that happening right before your eyes, right? It was happening then, computers. And then when you look back now, like phones have more technology in them than those computers ever did. But
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's a real thing, right? So the risk there for business owners, if they're not getting across this stuff, things are just going to speed up and pass them.
That's the thing, and I guess your competitors are going to be able to do it faster and cheaper
Mm,
and better than what
yeah.
you can.
Give me an
And
example of some of the things people would learn. Like, give me a couple of things from the event.
yeah, well, we are going to show people how they can use AI to write their blogs. So
Nice.
I'll give you an example of, the average person that would write an article. Actually, I got a quote from a marketing company about a year ago, maybe a little bit longer, $600 for one blog to be written.
Yep. Yep.
And I'm working with this guy who we're showcasing an AI tool of his, and he said pre-ChatGPT it would take him about 6 hours to, as a marketing company, to
Yep.
research, do a good job,
Totally.
you know, all the SEO and optimize that, proof check it, all the rest of it. 6 hours. Then ChatGPT came along, probably
Yeah.
about 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And then now it's AI and automated. Literally within 90 seconds,
Yeah.
we can have an article written, SEO researched, written, optimized, and automatically put into your blog page on your
Yeah. Yeah.
website.
Yeah. Yeah. Crazy.
So, those kind of things. So just getting things out to market, um, creating, different content. But yeah, what else? I think systemization is going to be a big thing we're going to talk about, is how
Mm.
to use AI to make that nice and easy. And as I talked about, creating a tool for your clients to be able to, sorry, for your staff to be able to tap into and get the information they need really, really quickly. Like we've had,
Yep.
the systems for years, but sometimes the staff have had trouble maybe finding that system. Where is it saved? How do I find it?
Yep.
Whereas, that's disappearing now. So, systemizing is going to be a big, massive thing. Um, and then looking at how to automate things. So, AI doing something really, really like that blog writing, for an example. But what's happening now is the ability to automate that. So we can turn
Yeah.
around and go, actually, I want that to happen 3 times a week. And basically you set that up, it does it, and it just does it without you even
Yeah.
thinking. So, when you think about that, um, it's an absolute game changer. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, the efficiencies is where AI can really help you. And look, the technologies that are in that space around automation can really, really help you too. I know from our point of view, research is a massive one for us, like researching, and definitely, like if you give it the right context, AI can really deliver you some amazing research, even to the point like, you're pitching for some business and you want to know who the board members are and you want to know what they believe in, like you can actually on the fly change your presentation based off who you're presenting to because of the deep research that you can do on those people and what they stand for and what they believe. The
Yeah.
ability to really use it as your thought partner to your strategic thinking and thought leadership is where I see that there's some huge gains for business owners. I don't think
Mm.
it shouldn't take away your thinking, your thought leadership and your strategic view, but it can definitely, it's way more research than you'll ever be, right?
Yeah. Well, that's what you're tapping into there about is protecting your creativity and your uniqueness, right? What
Mm,
separates you out from everybody else? Because,
yeah.
if everyone's we have a lady in one of our networking groups who does tenders, and she helps create tenders. She said where she's winning is she uses AI to help her, but she, as I think from a thinking strategic perspective, she
Totally.
always kind of makes it her thing. She said because all the tenders that are turning up on these desks are all the same.
Oh yeah.
So because they're
Seriously,
just using this
try and employ someone at the moment, man. Like you will get an inundated amount of CVs that have been written
CVs that are,
by
yeah,
written by AI, and I'm just like, seriously, dude, you want a job here? Like, create a
yeah,
video, tell me what you can do for me. Better still, create a video and showcase your skills,
yes,
because you're going to stand out in the marketplace.
yeah,
And I think this is
yeah,
the opportunity. And look, maybe AI is great, but I think there's some real opportunities to do things the other way as well. So use AI, but do things the other way and add more personal touch to stuff because I believe, I've seen some software come out recently that can do social media posts using AI and it is shit,
yeah,
and then people
yeah,
are selling it for $49 and it's just rubbish.
yeah,
And the marketing company behind it, like, just peddling like just snake oil, right? And I think,
yeah.
smart people will see behind that too. And I think that's why AI is great, but I'll also put some of your personality back into your marketing too, right?
Yeah.
And how you show up.
Yep. And it's the big opportunity is again when you come back to those systems is taking away the background repetitive work that normally
Yeah,
you or your staff are doing.
totally.
That stuff should be a no-brainer and parking, getting it
Mm,
sorted through AI and getting people to what they want to spend half an hour researching something on, they can do it in 3 or 4 minutes now. So yeah, that's the massive opportunity there. Yeah.
so good. So when are you like you're obviously rolling them out? Like you've got when are you doing the tour?
Yeah, so we the first one is April the 28th. We're in the Sudama Hotel in Auckland Airport.
Nice.
On the 30th of April, we're in North Harbour Stadium in Albany, and then on the 5th of May, we are in Wellington. No, second. Oh, she's 3rd of May. No, 3rd of May we're in Wellington. 5th of May we're in Christchurch with you guys, and then 9th we're doing an Auckland Central one as well in Parnell. So.
How
So
good.
yeah, we've got 5 events coming throughout New Zealand, and they're going to be absolute value packed and well worth
Nice.
anybody turning up. They'll go with a lot of value for free.
So definitely, if you're listening to the podcast and you're in one of those areas, we'll put some links in all the show notes, and also when we're putting out this content, you'll see links to it. So go along and I know that Dean's a great presenter. Put him on the spot, ask him some queerly questions because that's how you learn. And I
Yeah.
know he'll deliver value. Hey Dean, this has been a great chat. I just wanted to finish with something that I always ask people. Actually, two things. What is the gift that business has given you?
Gives a bit to give me freedom.
Nice.
Yeah, freedom. The ability to really choose what I do with my time.
Yeah.
That's incredible, and I'd never. I'm very, very thankful. I say that humbly because, when I stepped out of my job 15 years ago to go into business, it was a pretty scary leap.
Yeah, same.
Um, but um, but I've made it. Like, I was
Yeah.
like, shit, I haven't actually had to go back and work for anybody else. I'd be a bad employee. But
Did you ever wake up? I did like I don't know, maybe 5 years in, and I'd wake up going, "Oh, I could never go back there." Like, I I became
um,
unemployable.
yeah, I tell people that all the time. You wouldn't want to hire me.
No,
But I love it, and I think that's another gift. Sorry, give you two,
mm,
but just loving life, right? Like I love
mm,
what I do.
mm.
I don't go to work. I don't. I
No,
just
no, me neither.
I'm sharing, selling that which I'm really passionate about and I
Yeah,
love doing for people. Yeah.
yeah. So good, so good. Okay, last question. You're starting out a business. What are the five things you do to get that business off out of the gate so it's a success?
Mm. Vision. Number one, have a very, very
Nice.
clear vision. Make sure you can really see. Vision to me is a snapshot of a preferable future. If you're taking a photo of where you're going to be in a year's time or 5 years' time and what you're delivering your clients, what does that look like? Describe that to
Mm,
me. It should be really
nice.
descriptive so that you can share it with other people. The next thing
And,
is
and
to
and
have a, yep.
just quickly on that, because that's what you did with the crate, right? You had a vision for where these 12 seats, where they were going to go and what it was
Yeah.
going to be. And if you weren't excited about it, how are other people going to care? So
Yeah.
you had a vision and you got excited about it. And I think that's a really good people buy into your transfer of energy, and if you don't have a vision and you don't see that picture, man, you lose straight away, right?
Yeah.
So important.
If you don't believe it, nobody else will.
Yeah, why should they?
Yeah.
Very
Yeah. Yeah.
cool. Vision.
Exactly.
Vision. Love it.
Vision.
Number two.
uh, your business strategy, and
Nice.
at Business Blueprint, we just really teach you almost like stacking the pancakes up, right? You really got to do these things well and do them in the right order. So, number one is vision. Number two is your business strategy. We have a great, 5-page business plan. It's nice and simple, doesn't have to be over the top, but making sure you're really, really clear on, what problems you're solving, how you're solving it, who that is, right? Your target market, what your offering is, what your pricing is going to be. Get really, really clear, and don't wait till it's perfect,
Yeah.
right? Like we talked about
So
the
true.
MVP thing. Get out
Yeah.
there and just start selling. When I went into online results when I started, I gave myself 6 weeks. I had to because I left my job and I had no money coming in.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I joined Business Blueprint. I'm like, 6 weeks from today, I will be out there knocking on doors, hustling and selling my product.
Yeah.
And I did it. Right.
Yeah.
Website was done, banners were done, but I didn't have uniforms, but I just,
Yeah.
business
Yeah.
cards were made, you name it. Like, don't stuff around trying to be perfect at all your presentation. Just get it enough to get out there and start talking to clients about it. So business
Love
plan,
it.
then comes your marketing plan, right?
Mm.
So you now know who your target market is. Now, what mediums or what strategies are you going to use? And we often talk about like a four-legged approach, right? It should be at
Mm.
least four different income streams or lead generation
Yeah.
strategies coming into your business, and getting really, really clear on how you're going to begin to communicate and get in front of your audience. And then I would say conversion, right? Sell, sell,
Nice.
sell, 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 and then work out how the heck you're going to deliver it, right?
Yeah.
Because if you haven't got sales, you haven't got money coming in,
Totally.
you ain't got a business.
Yeah. Especially when
So
you're
at
starting
that,
out, right?
yeah. And people can fuss around with the business plan for a long time, the marketing plan, but never get out there and sell.
Yeah.
So start selling and start learning that and perfecting it and getting good at it. Because your business is not as good as what you are at what you do. If I was
Mm.
back in the day online marketing, I could be the best online marketer. But
Yeah.
if I couldn't sell it or market it to anybody, then it's not a good business.
So
So your
true.
business is only as good as how good you can actually sell it. So you work on that, get around people, get some training, get feedback from your clients even. How did I go? What do you reckon? What do you tweak it? Um, so those are that's there. And what number are we up to now? Number four?
Yep.
Yep. And then I would say, get your delivery right. Make sure and that's the processes, the systems we're talking about, on making sure you do a good job to deliver a high level of service
Yeah.
consistently on time. Yeah, because what they say, you're only as good as your last job that you did,
Totally.
right? So if you do a bad job for someone, then they're not going to reuse you. They're
Yeah.
going to tell five people. So get that part right. So, one of the big things that we encourage people and train our members at Business Blueprint is make sure you're spending your time on income producing tasks. It's
Beautiful.
very, very important. 80% of entrepreneurs are spending their time on things that keep them busy, but are not earning money.
Yeah.
It should be the opposite. It should be 20% of what you do is on things that are not actually earning you money. And
Yeah.
how do you do that? You outsource, you delegate, whether it's staff in New Zealand or offshore staff, you delegate so that 80% of your time is all about you making sure that you are the main person that's driving sales, driving income coming into your business.
Love it. I learned from a really smart entrepreneur. He said, Scott, delegate, delegate, delegate. Early on, your job is to prospect, present, and follow up, and it's your only job right now.
Nice.
And
Prospect, present, and follow up.
follow
Love it.
up. Because most people don't follow up. Most people don't care enough to follow up, and I think that's a big one too. I love what you've talked about there. Obviously, delivering your product is a key one too, right? Get known by the success of your clients. So the work that you've done with those people, get known by the success of that is really, really important. The talking to people is such an underrated thing, though. I remember a lady coming to see me, and she'd had a new business, and she had her husband they'd agreed to fund in for so long, and she had no sales, but she had a beautiful sign-written card. She had a beautiful handmade brochure. She had a beautiful business card. She had all this other stuff, but she had no sales. And I said, show me your order form. And she went, what do you mean? I said, well, where do people sign? She goes, oh, I don't have one. I've got this website and she had everything else. I said, how many people have you spoken to about this? She goes, none. I said, cool. Go and talk to 10 people and do it by, next week. Otherwise, never talk to me ever again.
Yeah.
And she was put back by it, eh? And I was like, you've got something here. There is something here, but you need to go and talk to some people. Go and talk to the marketplace that could give you money for what you've got. So she goes and talks to 10 people. She sells 6 of them. All of a sudden, she's got a business. 3 years later, she sells that business. She's now into her 3rd business. And now she doesn't start off with all the other stuff. She starts off with an order form and going to talk to people, because sometimes people they get caught up into what they think they should do, and the easy stuff, right? And I think that's what you just nailed, like that conversion piece. Go and talk to people. So important.
Very good. I love yours though. What was it? Prospect, present, follow
and
up.
follow up. It's pretty simple. Like your job is to prospect, to get new business. Then it's to present the offer that you have and make sure it's a no-brainer offer, and then follow up with people, And look, I'm a big believer in following up, and I'm a big believer in following up with adding value. So I'll follow up with something else that can add more value to what I've already given them.
Nice.
So okay, might see something online or see something that one of their competitors have done and gone, hey, by the way, I was looking at this and thought about this, and this is how I thought about it for you, So all of a sudden, stacking more value. Don't follow up with, I just thought I'd follow up, if you have any questions.
Yes.
Rubbish. Follow up with value, because all of a sudden you're the person that's following up with value, and everyone else is following up to check in or not following up,
That's gold. That's gold. Love it.
Man, this has been a great chat. What's the best place for people to get a hold of you, Dean?
Yeah, sure. If you jump online and search thecrate.co.nz, or get a hold of us through businessblueprint.com.
Awesome.
Just reach out, ask for Dean, and I'll be able to give you a call and a buzz, and always keen to do a coffee.
So good. Definitely. We'll put all those details in the show notes, and look forward to our listeners going along and going to your workshops and getting involved, because I think the time is now that you have to get involved with AI. Don't sit on the fence here. It's not the time to sit on the fence. It's the time to get involved, and it's the time to really see what's possible for you and your business when it comes to AI. So yeah, this is awesome. All right, hey Dean, thanks for your time. I just got one thing I need to say to the people watching. You got to share this podcast. we need to help more business owners in New Zealand and Australia where they're really starting to hit the straps, especially on Spotify. I really want you to share the podcast, because the more shares we get, the more people become in the audience, and the more people can hear about what Dean's up to, can hear about everyone else that's been on the podcast. So do me a favor, share the podcast. And if you do that, we'll all celebrate a lot more victories, which is what I want for New Zealand.
Bring it on, mate. Love what you're doing for Kiwi business, mate. It's awesome.
All right. Hey, thanks for your time. Appreciate it. And as always, go out there, have fun, take action, and as always, celebrate your victories.